What's up, everybody? I was very curious into what Claudia had to say about this whole situation because remember, she was one of the people that they were trying out to see if she was a good fit for the show. So she did reveal a few things as well as talk about if she would ever repair her relationship or try to reconcile with Funky Dineva. So let's go ahead and get into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Wait, can y'all see me? Put a one in the chat if you guys can see me and hear me. I'm sorry. My computer just like started buffering and I was like, oh shoot, y'all probably can't even hear me. But what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Talk the Real Deal with AT2. And yes, I'm your boy AT2. How everybody doing? How everybody living? How everybody feeling? You know, on the other show, I realized that I didn't even greet y'all, but it's okay because the Breakfast Club gave me a copyright claim, so I had to take out all the audio. I thought the box was small enough to where they wouldn't get me. No, the box is too big, so I got to start making it smaller so they won't get me for that copyright claim. But let me say what's up to the people. What's up, Kamari? What's up, Beautiful? What's up, Mary D? What's up, Sexy 60? What's up, Teresa, Susie, Andrea, Sharice, Mary? Who else we got here? Son, what's up, Son? Yolanda, Winnie. Who else? Ronnie, Denitria, thank you for holding it down, Denitria, for the mod squad. Thank you. Bama Girl. Shout out to all of y'all for coming in the room. I appreciate that. Hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Y'all already know what it is. Miss Kitty, Crystal, hello. All right, enough of the pleasantries. So Claudia has a show with Erica Cobb called Accidentally Informed, right? She's been doing this show for a while. They used to do pre-uploads, but now they go live on every Wednesday. They have some good commentary, so I would definitely say check them out. I put the link to their channel in the description of the video, so please go ahead and check them out. Let me go ahead and put it, hold on. Let me put it in the chat too. So when Claudia cusses me out later, we're like, hey, Q2, you was talking crap about me. At least I shared her video. Listen, I done shared the little video, so be happy. Did it copy it? Okay, I think it copied it. Okay, and then let me put it here. Okay, there we go. Accidentally Informed. So yeah, go ahead and check those ladies out. But we're going to go ahead and watch a clip from them when they're discussing the Breakfast Club and when she talks about TeaGIF. I guess there's some drama between her and Funky. I mean, I guess it never went away, but I don't know the reason why they brought that up. However, she also talks about how she'd be willing to make up with Funky Dineva, but Al is in the way. So this has been the first time in a while Claudia has talked about the whole Foxhole thing. Remember, she didn't do an interview. She did her interview before the cancellation with Carlos King. She didn't do like a follow-up one. So, you know, it's nice to hear what she got to say. So let's go ahead and get into it. I know y'all like, AT2, shut up and play the video. Y'all be hella rude.
Shouldn't know what's happening behind the scenes, and that is with the Breakfast Club. There's a lot of drama happening with Jess Hilarious and Loren LaRosa. Before we get into it, let's hear what happened on today's show between Jess and Loren. They did get to speak. Let's take a listen.
I'm not saying Envy don't got no opinion, but he don't jump in every single time there's dead air. You know what I'm saying? When you over talk. And it's like the only time you can quiet down is somebody be like, shut up or hush.
My mom don't even tell me shut up, Jess. I'm a grown ass woman.
And I understand. You could have said that on air right then and there. Right after when you saying you put me in office. You never put me nowhere to tell me that.
Because the way that I do things when it comes to my job and my career, that's not what we on. And I told you from the jump, I was never going to give that to you.
What do you think about that, Erica? Like, what do you think about that? That's a spicy conversation to have to still work with you after that.
Yeah. First I was like, I watched Jess's live, a clip of her live, and she brought your name up. So immediately I was like, okay, what's going on? I'm constantly.
Why am I always in some shit like 6 degrees away? Like I'm over here in Dallas.
Claudia liked being in the mess. Claudia be lying. She love it. So for those of you who don't know, and she'll explain, Claudia was also up for, the role of being the third host too as well. So that's how Claudia got brought up, because she mentioned Claudia. They tried to do 2 guest hosts, and that's when Jess had said, "Oh, that didn't really work." They said they wasn't looking for 2 people; they're only looking for 1. So that's why she was mentioned during that live where Jess went off.
Drinking my ginger ale. I ain't bothering nobody.
Well, Jess mentioned that you and her, she had auditioned together, and that it was very clear during that audition that there was only room for 1, that it was never meant to be a 4-person show. So what's your recollection of that?
I mean, I was told that too, but I have to keep it a buck with this. I remember one time when I was called in to do like 2 or 3 days, she actually came in on one of my days and like kind of crashed with us. And, she had a comedy show and she wanted to like promote it. And she did give me a heads up on one of the times. She's like, "Hey, can I come in when you're," and I was like, "Yeah," but we were all kind of trying to all get the job. So I was like, "But I'm not going to be a hater." I'm like, "Yeah, come through." And I said, "But let me make a deal with you. I say yes to you coming through on one of my days. Let me come in on one of your days too." I said, "Maybe this could be a show with 4 people." And it was never, it was never a thing, like for sure that there was 4 people. That not when I was there. We always knew that there was 1, but we hoped there could be 2 spots. Because I do feel like, listen.
Okay, let me pause right there. Okay, so if you were up for a job, right, and you knew your competitor was also, well, no, you already know that. That's obvious that that's your competitor. But 2 friends going up for the same job, right? You either say, "Hey, can I come?" Well, your friend says, "Hey, can I come in doing your interview, or not doing your interview, doing your audition, and we can do like a co-host situation?" Or do you say, "Hey, nah, this is my time"? And she even said Jess wanted to come on so she could promote, her comedy show. I automatically would have told her no. Now, I guess she in turn was like, "Hey, if you could crash one of mine, then I can come during your week, and then let's see if we can go ahead and work this out." I'm not going to say that was a bad move, but Jess ended up getting the job and Claudia didn't. So, hey, don't kill the messenger. I'm just the messenger, right?
I got to keep it a buck about this story, and people are going to be mad about this. If I'm being honest, if you have the right person for the job across the board, you don't need 1 person to do it, not 2.
Ooh.
I do think that they both are very, very strong in the strengths that they have. But I do think you need what both of them bring to the table to have 1 good host. Meaning you have to have someone that has some kind of curiosity about as far as the journalism part of the job, the being curious, the asking questions. In an election year, you've got to give a damn about politics. You just have to. Breakfast Club is just too big of a platform to have someone on there that's checked out when you have political conversations. And
I remember hearing something where they were talking about voting or whatever, and Jess was all like, "Oh, well, I really didn't care about voting." And granted, I know it's not a political show. However, they do cross into politics and have different politicians come in. So, with that being said, you would think, yeah, she said they hired her just for the mess, but you were going to have to know more than just doing just with the mess. You were going to have to be well-rounded. And just literally said on camera, I forgot which video, but it was when they had I don't think it was a politician, but it was somebody like a political commentator, and was all like, "Oh, well, I never really cared about voting or anything like that." And it's kind of like, you have these people on here, and the reason why they're coming to your show is because they think that your audience will be interested in what they're saying. And then when you say, "Well, I never really cared about politics, I never really cared about voting," that's a bad look. Just like, for example, when Armand was on TeaGIF and they were talking about politics, and he wanted to talk about Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. Like, what did that have to do with anything about pop? You know what I mean? He wasn't well-rounded in that way. So again, she has a point when she says you shouldn't have to hire two people for a one-person job. You know, you shouldn't have to do that. It should be you get the best person for all around. I even said from the beginning, I was all like, I would have chose Claudia over Jess. I thought Claudia would have been well-rounded in that role. Now that they have Loren there, Loren is definitely good, right? However, it is weird that you have two people for a job that only was what? Because at the end of the day, we know that they're not making as much as Charlamagne and DJ Envy. Charlamagne allegedly makes $3 million a year from the Breakfast Club. So I know they probably paying probably $250K, as I'm saying, for Jess, and then Loren probably makes a little less or the same. But you feel me on that one, right? Let me know if you agree. Put a 1 in the chat if you think only one person should have the job. Put a 2 in the chat if you think that job is a 2-person job. Let me know. Let's go ahead and continue.
And I love Jess, but I just have to keep it a buck. She would keep it a buck about me, and she's posted stuff about me before. We got to keep it a buck about and hold our colleagues, to the standard. But she's fantastic at going viral. She's fantastic at funny and being opinionated. She's young. She's a breath of fresh air. She's fun. Then on the other side, you have Loren, who is not as big of a personality, but she's definitely getting, in her bag now. Who's definitely on the more journalism, research part of the game. So I think you have to have someone in that seat that has the depth to go in and get and be curious about the facts, because you have a huge responsibility when you're on a platform like that, where they don't have a lot of platforms like this for Black people. The weight of the world is on your shoulders, especially in an election year. That's why I'm just going to go and say this: Breakfast Club, you needed to have some people on there during this, even if you just had them guest hosts here and there. Y'all kind of got run amok in some of these interviews with some of these political figures. These Republicans were going in there, they were having their way with y'all. And I do think, like, you had Teslin Figueroa that's there sometimes, and she gets it, and she's like very strong as far as that. You have to have.
Now, not just only with politics, but say if like they would have somebody that they didn't really know, or i.e. they didn't really care about, the interviews were very dry. Like, you could tell the difference. Like, for one example I can give you, I'm a wrestling fan. They had a wrestler by the name of Becky Lynch. And what they wanted to talk about was her last name, which is not her real last name, it's her alias, but her last name Lynch, and what that means in America and stuff, like, because she's Irish, and I guess that's the Irish last name or whatnot. Besides the point, part of the conversation was just dumb and stupid. It wasn't really anything, like, they weren't really versed in that. So maybe they should have had a wrestling fan or a wrestling journalist that really knew what they were talking about. But if you have to bring in people in order to do an interview, i.e. when they do the different politicians and stuff like that, remember they were criticized heavy for the Candace Owens interview. They felt like they went too easy on Candace Owens. So when they had Mayor Eric Adams, they had another woman coming in questioning Eric Adams and really holding his feet to the fire, who was more versed in politics. And here's my thing: you don't have to be versed in politics, but don't you ninjas live in New York? You should be like, if I had a politician that lived in the Bay Area, right? Even if I'm not versed in politics, I'll be all like, hey, how come this corner ain't been fixed? How come this ain't been done? What are you doing to address the homelessness? Like, I would be able just to ask regular questions. But them living in New York, y'all couldn't ask any questions. Y'all had to bring someone in. So yeah, that costs money. So at the end of the day, Loren LaRosa was probably willing to work for $250 or less, and was all like, you know what, let's go ahead and bring in Loren, because at least we can have these kind of conversations with her, and she will do her research. I just figure, like, okay, even if they don't do their research, right? Like, for example, Wendy Williams didn't do her own research. She had a team of people. So who's your team of people, your producers, that do the research? Because They should have everything written out for you, just like on the other talk shows. Like, yeah, they have to have somewhat of knowledge, but actually they have morning meetings in the morning. They go over the topics of what they're going to talk about. You see them with papers in their hands, and they're reading off papers. That's all their notes and everything like that. So the producers need to be fired from the Breakfast Club because your people are ill-equipped to do the job.
Have someone that has those things. When these people come in there, they don't try to walk all over any of the hosts, and y'all do need to be a united front against whoever comes up in there and tries to get greasy with y'all. That's what builds camaraderie. So I do think because now they're gonna have to make it work as a 4-person show. They probably didn't plan on that in the beginning, but now that it's that, y'all gonna have to work it out. I do feel like Jess was getting a little gaslit today. I do. Yesterday I was like, damn, Jess is wrong. She crashing out on live. Like, it's about to be the rap, because radio is very like particular. They don't like this kind of shit, right?
Yeah, I know. I've got
really went to bat for Jess. That's his girl. Like, he was pushing for her from the beginning. He loves her. He loves her. They're good friends. They have good chemistry. He loves her. So it was laid out it was hers for the taking. So when you crash out like that, it kind of makes it awkward for everybody else there. Like the people that went to bat for you and really like, nah, this is the person. But in her defense, they were kind of gaslighting her today, saying, no, you can't pay attention to the internet. It ain't about the internet. It wasn't.
Shout out to Couturbe, because Couturbe did talk about Jess being gaslit. And I do agree with that. Jess was gaslit in a way where they literally was having an open work conflict publicly for everybody to listen to. We were in their team meeting. That's what that whole show was. We were literally inside of their team meeting, which who puts their team meeting online? That's unprofessional. And here's the thing. I feel like with the Breakfast Club, and because it's a black show, we accept niggatry. I hate to put it like that, but I think anything black, and if it's not professional, we just go, oh, it's okay. And we accept niggatry. We should not accept niggatry just because it's a black show. It should be professional as always. Her going online and doing her rant the other day, that was unacceptable, right? But them doing this whole public thing for views and ratings, that was unprofessional as well, too. I mean, we love it. We love a click and a view, but it was unprofessional. Put a 1 in the room if you think that this whole situation is very unprofessional. Put a 2, you don't think it is. Because I know there has to be a clause where, hey, you can't talk negatively about your job. There has to be a clause. Just like when you work at a regular 9 to 5, they put a clause in there that you can't talk to the press.
It's all about the internet. And I hate when people try to play in your face like you're just tripping other comments. I'm sorry. If anyone was in her position, they would feel that way. I feel that they both have proper points. Jess got the job. I don't know when she got pregnant, but it was very early on. And if she would have disclosed that, she probably wouldn't have gotten the job, because they'd say, listen, we need someone that could be full-time right away. So that's where they're like, So when you had to take your time off, you run the risk of someone coming there and like laying it down and like really being engaging. And then if you're gone from radio more than a couple of weeks, people get used to someone else and it's hard to go back. Radio is like, it's, you know how radio is. It's you get used, you like whoever you hearing the most of.
Yeah. And I think, this is far more complicated than what the streets are talking about, like to your point, because first of all, you have a woman who was pregnant and went on maternity leave and gave her opinion or her recommendation for who should fill her seat when she.
Shout out to Son and Miss Kitty. She actually mentions the age thing, so that's why I haven't commented. I've been reading your comments, but she mentions the age thing, so don't worry, it's coming.
Was out. Now that's already a super sensitive time, because as most moms will tell you, working moms, there's a lot going on at that time. I'm pregnant. I obviously have to, have this baby and take care of this child. And I'm thinking about my family, but I'm also thinking if I'm going to have a seat or a desk when I get back. And so that's a complicated matter. And then you have companies who are either going to be super supportive, but let's just be honest, in our country, it's not the culture for companies to necessarily be super supportive when a woman has to take maternity leave. So when you're coming back and you have basically done this as a sis, I believe in you type thing, it's not Lauren's fault that she's so skilled and so brilliant at what she does. And that's a different, it's a different set of skills than what Jess has. However, I can see it being a complicated emotion that I had your back to help you get in this position. And now I'm feeling some type of way, whether it's Lauren's fault or not. And I don't think, quite frankly, it's anyone's fault.
Yeah, I don't think Loren went there with the intentions like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this woman's job. I think she tested well when they looked at the views. Like I try to look to see if I can see the ratings of the radio and stuff like that, but I couldn't find it. So anybody who can find the Breakfast Club's ratings and stuff like that, I'm not talking about the views on YouTube, but their viewership, do they do Nelson for radio? Whatever it is, whatever the ratings are, if somebody could please find that, I would love to know how the ratings were when Loren was there versus when Jess was there. Like, was it high? Was it low? Obviously, it was either steady or about the same or higher because that's why they wanted to go with her. If she was horrible and the show sucked, then I think, they wouldn't have chose Loren, but they really liked her. They didn't, because when you think about it, with Loren, even though she's not this big personality, she has personality. And I think her knowledge is what compensates for her not being a larger than life personality. You got Charlemagne. Charlemagne has always been the larger than life person and doing all the funny bits and stuff like that. Just like I told you guys earlier, Charlemagne and Jess Hilarious are actually competing for the same job. Charlemagne already got the seniority, so if anything, Jess is going to go. Loren and Jess, they're not the same. The reason why we put them in the same category is because they're women. That's the only reason why. But they're different. They're different people. All right, let's continue.
To the point that you were making about her, quote unquote, crashing out on social media, I was a little nervous for the situation because I was thinking, don't give them, in Jess's case, any ammunition to do anything in retaliation against you. And the thing about situations like that, because I can tell you, I had an incident when I was doing mornings in Chicago. I was doing morning radio and I ended up talking to the press. At that time, it was the newspaper. And I didn't get a direct retaliation. I got a very long run eventual retaliation.
Oh yeah.
And it's not, and that's the difference between overt and covert tactics. I would rather tactics be very overt. I want them to be in my face. I want to know what's happening right now. But that covert, long simmering run, it's brutal. So that was my first thought when I saw Jess on social media talking about it. And then of course she mentioned,
honestly, Margot, I don't know what DJ Envy does except scam people for houses and stuff like that. I don't know. Allegedly.
The situation with you, which I found interesting. But while I have you on the hot seat, because I feel like this is like a 60 minutes here. You on the hot seat, Claudia. So I have to bring something up.
Okay.
Because your favorite frenemy, Funky Dineva, said
let's wrap up with the Breakfast Club first before she move on to Funky Dineva. And can we please get those likes up too? We got 300 people in the chat and we ain't even got 100 likes yet. Let's get to 300 likes. Okay. So a lot of people have brought up the whole baby thing. A baby is a blessing. So I never want to tell people like, oh, you shouldn't have children or whatnot, right? She said she even wanted this baby. She wanted the baby, so she planned this, whatnot, right? However, the problem or the issue is that Jess wasn't there long enough to submit herself as the third host. When people think of the Breakfast Club, they do not think of Jess Hilarious yet. Like, automatically, you don't go, oh, yeah, the Breakfast Club with Jess Hilarious and da-da-da. No, they go, oh, Charlemagne or DJ Envy. sometimes even Angela Yee, like, yeah, didn't Angela Yee used to be on that show? Jess hasn't solidified herself in that role for people to really know who she is and respect her as that third host, because she got pregnant and then went on the maternity leave, and then there was times where she wasn't there or she was doing it virtually. And you know, I mean, it works when you're just a listening ear, but when they upload the video, you know, they got the BET deal, and then when they put the videos on YouTube, yeah, it does look a certain kind of way. So with that being said, I don't think she made herself a factor in the equation. Like, Jess to me always felt like, okay, at the end of the day, if it don't work out, they can replace her. When Angela Yee was there, I don't think she was replaceable. You know, obviously not, because they're having a hard time filling those shoes, right? Because say if Angela Yee went on maternity leave, I don't think this whole conversation about Loren becoming a producer and then an on-air talent would even be a conversation. They would have been like, Angela solidified herself, like, so, all right, Loren, bye, have a nice day. She would have been up out of there, right? But because they realized, like, we're missing something. And I think Loren is that other piece that they were missing. So she worked in there well. Now, Loren's supposed to be a producer, and then somehow she got upgraded to on-air talent. That's because the talent on the show wasn't able to deliver. I don't think Loren did anything behind the scenes, or like, remember, Loren said something really shady. I don't know if you guys remember. She was all like, you know, I'm the producer. You're my talent. Did y'all hear that earlier? She said, I'm the producer. You're my talent. So she's supposed to be producing them, you know, helping them along, telling them what to do and what they're going to talk about. And maybe there's situations where she's all like, hey, can you guys research this? Or we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then y'all don't do any research. Y'all, to me, it feels like Charlamagne, DJ Envy, and Jess Hilarious wake up in the morning with eye boogers and they voice all groggy, like, welcome to the Breakfast Club. Like, it don't seem like they give a damn. It really don't. It don't seem like they come to work and you're like, hey, let's get this started. Let's get the ball rolling. When Loren is there, Loren's dressed up and everything like that. She's really engaged in the conversation, trying to give information out. DJ Envy, Jess, and Charlamagne, they can care less. Right, just winging it. Yeah, they literally just winging it. And because Charlamagne and DJ Envy, again, do I think that they're good at their job? No, I don't. But they have seniority and they started it. They're the foundation. Jess is still new. So Jess thought, oh, well, I can just be like DJ Envy and Charlamagne and just be like, hey, just wing it, right? No. You can't do that, one, because you're new, and two, you are a woman. You can't. Those kind of things, race, gender, sexuality, all those things still matter. I know I've been out the workforce for 4 years, but it's still a thing. I know it ain't changed, y'all. Y'all be acting like I'm crazy. I know that ain't changed. It's still the same. You know, you still got shit you got to deal with. And yeah, there's somebody who come in new and they getting all the promotions and shit like that. When you even help train that person and they getting promotions and raises, and you just looking like, well, damn, is anybody gonna... I'm talking about. One day we'll talk about work history and shit I had to go through at work. We'll talk about that one day.
The reason why you, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that you were great, but the reason why you didn't get the job was because you were too old. So I just wanted to see if you had any comments about that.
Well, he's 10 years younger than me. He wasn't on there. Okay. I will say this. No, if he did say that I was great, I definitely will always appreciate a compliment. As far as being too old, man, that's a lazy read or a lazy excuse. If I was too old, I wouldn't have been asked to be on there at least 10 times. they asked me to come in there several times, and there were more times than I actually did. There were times I couldn't go that they asked me to come on there that I couldn't go. And I'm in the same age range as Charlemagne and Envy. And actually, there were people that were older than me that was on the show as well. Nene Leakes, Lala was on there. Let me see who else is on there. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, Jason Lee. Jason Lee is in his 50s, right, y'all?
Roxy, we're all in the same age group. So it wasn't really that. The Breakfast Club audience is an older audience. The Breakfast Club audience is 40s, early 50s. Like, that's who their main listeners are. So younger people, the 20s and 30s, they're getting their news, their media from TikTok and Twitch and all that kind of stuff and streaming. So
yeah, I don't think Claudia was too old, quote unquote. I don't think she was old. I think what they probably looked at was your status, the following that you have. They were probably looking for somebody who meshed very well with Charlemagne and DJ Envy, with Jess being the comedian on the show. She can vibe well with Charlemagne and they can have feedback and stuff like that. Also, something that somebody brought up, not today, but the other day, they said, oh, I think Jess is there so she can say the things about the women that Charlemagne would get in trouble for. And I was like, I never thought about that. But hey, that could be a thing, right? So again, I don't think necessarily it's age, but I'll look up their demographic while the video plays. Hold on.
I think I'm right in the pocket. And also the feedback was really, really good. But I do understand a lot of media entities, they always think that they need to go younger, but there was a lot of there's pushback to that sometimes. People like what they like, but that show was definitely an older show. But I may be 51, but I read 35.
And she does. Okay, my last question, because
But thank you for saying.
So I Googled it real quick, and it said The Breakfast Club, both the movie and radio show, primarily target a demographic of young adults, particularly those in the 18 to 34 age range, with significant portion being Black listeners. So, wait, hold on. I think that, no, it's not a movie. No, the radio. Hold on, y'all. The radio show. Nelson indicates the more than half of the Breakfast Club, 8 million listeners, are Black. Large portion of their audience falls within the 18 to 34. Okay, consider a coveted demographic for advertisers. Yeah, okay. So Claudia is wrong. They have a younger demographic. So yeah, that was wrong.
Saying I was good because I was.
Yes, you were.
But they brought me back a lot of times. They kept asking me back.
Honestly, I really did think that you had the job. So I was in the running, and I was very happy that even to just try out, very flattered. Like, even a tryout meant a lot to me. It felt really good. It made me like radio again. I know radio is such a mistress. Like I basically built, because I started my career in radio, and I love being on radio. Like, I love the idea that you can emote and make people feel something with just the sound of your voice. Like, it's such a beautiful medium. And what's happened,
And also, let me say something else too. With Claudia being a woman, age plays a role. Just like I was talking about the whole gender, everything. Yeah. Age plays a role when it comes to the women. The men, Charlemagne, DJ Envy, like she said, they're in my age group, but yet they're still looked at as young and youthful.
How much it's been divested over the past, 15 years it's really unfortunate. So when you have gems like the Breakfast Club, you really want to see those succeed and thrive, because it's like, it's a unicorn at this point.
It is, and I do think, I hope the ladies work it out. Jess is my girl. We worked together on a couple shows. We did couples retreat together, and I definitely was very protective of her. Lauren, I respect the journalist. I love a girl that has a journalism background. I think at this point, they both have what the other one's lacking. They both do. So I think now it's good to switch up and have a different balance of power, and then have two women on the show. Like Jess brings the funny and the young and the hip and all that kind of stuff, and the shit talking and the moments. and Loren brings the more the research and well-studied, well-read person that is good with, she's gonna know the backstory on things, and those together form a really good section of the show. Like, you need that. Angela Yee held that spot down on her own, and she was able to be engaging, be funny, but she's not there anymore. But I think now that you've had the show with just there, you have the show with just Loren there. When one or the other is missing, you're like, okay, but it's lacking the funny. Then when Jess there, you're like, oh, it's lacking the research. So now you kind of have to make a way. So ladies are gonna have to get it together. And I did see there was definitely shade being thrown. Like the fact that Jess told Loren to shut up. I wish someone would tell me to shut up on a show. I would have crashed out. And then for Loren to tell her, and she kind of read Jess a little bit today when she said, well, I'm the producer, you're my talent, and you're new. Oh my God, that would have made me be like, wait, what? Like, now, unless they get it together, they're gonna be a bunch of like microaggressions, I think. But I don't like that the fellas sat back and acted.
That is
Envy and Charlemagne. Y'all both gaslit that girl. Y'all my boys. You're my favorite download couple. But I'm just saying, no, I'm just kidding. It's a little joke we have with them. I always say Charlemagne's bottom heavy, and Emmy loves to look at it. But anyways,
Wow.
but they kind of, I don't like how it became a.
You know what? I want to say something real quick. I didn't mind DJ Envy and Charlemagne having their little love fest or whatever. Like, I got ha. It was a joke. It's funny. When it got creepy for me, y'all remember when he bought like a replica? Charlemagne bought DJ Envy a replica of his booty, and they were rubbing lotion on it. Do y'all remember? Put a 1 in the chat if you remember that. That's when I was all like, okay, this is more than just a joke, because I'm never giving another man a replica of my ass and said rub lotion on it. Y'all remember that freaky shit, right? I know I'm not the only one. Don't make me seem like a freak. I know I'm not the only one. That's what I was like. Oh yeah, I don't think this is a joke. I don't think this is a joke anymore. Like, I was all like, yeah. Yeah, it was a little weird. All right.
You're tripping over the internet, kind of discounting Jess's feelings, because she does have a valid point. If I took a leave of absence because I was pregnant, even though I got pregnant right before I got my contract, whatever, they still signed her, okay? And when I come back, my feeling is still there. I'd be like, okay, what's happening? So she had every right to feel that way.
Yeah.
Right. And then they played in her face like, wait, no, not really. So she has a legitimate reason. And I don't think she was able to properly express herself. So she was getting frustrated today. And I could see her getting emotional because it felt like 3-on-1.
Well, and it's heavy. But I always want to say, because when it comes to just life in general, I'm kind of like a go along to get along until you do something to really piss me off type person. I really don't, I'm not thinking about like, how do I get this or do this and throw somebody under the bus? Like, that's not the way that I think. But if you bring attention onto yourself
Hold on. There's different strokes for different folks. Ain't nothing wrong with what I like. If I like what I like, I like what I like, damn it.
Way that is aimed at me, now we have a problem. But that's a problem between me and you. When someone else benefits from us having a problem, I'm always thinking, what is the true genesis of this problem?
Mm-hmm.
What do other people who are, peripheral to this problem have to gain by us taking each other out? Because my thing is always this. People are lazy AF. They do not want to put in extra work if they do not have to. But the easiest way to take someone down is to cut them at their knees. So now they can only perform at the level in which you currently reside. So who is cutting whom down at the knees? That's what it looked like to me. Because when Jess made the comment that Charlemagne had sent her a text saying,
play it up,
tell her to, shut up on air or, play it out on air.
Sonny, stop it and just watch the damn video. Calm down.
To whom's benefit?
Yeah, you can't do that and then go, oh, you're just worried too much about the comments on social media. No, Charlamagne, you were adding fuel to the fire, gas to the flame, and then saying, like, behind the scenes, nah, play it up, and then being like, oh no, y'all are just tripping on the internet. No. I gotta stick up for the ladies on this one.
Yes.
Hell no. The fellas are sitting back looking like, what do you mean? Because you had to be in those meetings where they discussed having Loren there when Jess got back. And you had to know how your friend was going to feel coming back into an environment where there's another person in like there. Like I would feel weird if I'm on a 3-person show and then I come back from my break and then it's a 4-person show with no.
One of my questions is, why didn't Jess Hilarious bring up when the part where she said, yeah, Charlamagne told me to tell Loren to shut up again, excuse me, so the ratings can go up and play into us hating each other. Remember she said that in her initial live? So I wonder how come she didn't bring that up, because that definitely lets us know that, okay, well, he's also the messy one and he was trying to keep the drama going for the rating. So why wasn't that discussed? How professional is that? So I was like, damn, Jess, like, why didn't you bring that up? It seemed like Jess, yeah, she was gaslit. However, yeah, of course you were going to be, because you went live with it. You went live and aired out your job. So of course they're going to come back and make you seem like the villain. Like, come on now. Like, don't play stupid.
Conversation. I would like that to have been told me and not find out in real time. So, hey, we'll keep y'all updated with whatever updates we get, but we just want to speak briefly on that.
I just have one final question in my journalistic integrity.
Oh, yes.
Since we brought up that Funky Dineva made that comment, is there a chance for a reunion for the two of you?
I have no problem with Funky. Like, well, he seemed to have more of a problem with me. Like, when he left the show, it was like all love. And I think Al had a conversation with him, got in his head and said some shit and told him that wasn't true. And I tried to tell him there was some shadiness, things happened. And then all of a sudden it was, I'm not there because of Claudia Jordan. I'm like, I thought we was like, because we have text messages where we said, hopefully we can work together again. I could talk to him and sit down with him. Al Reynolds, never. I would never deal with Al Reynolds ever again. I would never work with him again. He's just not to be trusted in my book. And it was a little bit different with us because I thought it was different. Mm-hmm. Funky, we could definitely have a conversation and talk. I don't know if we'd ever work together. We could talk.
I would love to see that. I love you two together. I really do. I think a full circle conversation is really when I was saying when there's two people, but there's someone in the peripheral gassing the situation, to whose benefit is it really? And I think
so. She is willing to talk to Funky Dineva again. Now it's funny because she said she'd be willing to talk to Funky Dineva, but she don't know if they could ever work together again. That's very interesting and that's very telling.
That what you're describing is exactly that. So
we definitely had someone that was being messy and stirring the pot and having different conversations in front of one person and the other. And we also had one of our producers that was being like that with the executive producer on that show. Like, let me just give you all the tea. She was being extremely messy. Her and Al were having side conversations all the time and making shit worse. And when I complained, I wasn't even complaining. I complained about those two in an inappropriate, like the conversations were just like, it was too much puppeteering and too much. I'm like, this doesn't benefit the show, may benefit you. And I do feel like the show could have actually gone on for 5-10 more years. Honestly, when it was good, it was great. But let me just take this back. When I said I could never ever talk to Al on a show, I could work with them because I'm a professional. I actually have worked with people that I can't fucking stand before, and I can do it. But I would just go in knowing, like, I think with me, I think that friendship or even being we're cool actually meant something, and I've learned from that whole entire experience that you can be in one-way friendships where you.
Here's the thing. They could have still done that show. The issue was that none of them could have put their stuff aside. Like, at the end of the day, you didn't have to like each other. Y'all literally are doing a show. Like, all that outside stuff, that was ridiculous. And first of all, they weren't even in person with each other. This was like via virtual. That's how dumb the drama was. You know what I mean?
Really, we want people to, like, get money and get work and stuff, and they may put on an appearance on television how much they appreciate you, but behind your back they're like actively working against you. And I would just go in there with more awareness and treat it like a job. There will be no conversations afterwards. We're not getting drinks, but that's also what made the show beautiful at times. Like, I wish we could just have a time machine to when things were before the hurtful things were said and done, and the sneakiness and all that other shit and the scheming and all that. 2 against 1, it felt like, because there was a time when it was really beautiful and fun, and we actually really enjoyed turning on our computers and like, okay, what fuck are we gonna get into today? And I'm really being away from it now. So many people reach out to me and say they miss it, as well as Cocktails with Queens. They really miss.
Yeah.
They miss a place where they can do talk politics, pop culture, shady friendship conversations, and they loved when we would.
So real quick, I wonder if Claudia still has a contract with Fox, or was she let go completely? Because again, Al does his little gigs every blue moon on the DC Fox DC, and then Funky Dineva does his thing every blue moon with what do you call it? What's that show? This Nation. But I haven't seen Claudia do anything Fox affiliated, so I'm wondering, does she still have her contract? By the way, y'all want me to reach out to Claudia? Let me see if I can reach out to her real quick. Hold on, let me see. Y'all, I don't think Claudia's gonna come by the show because y'all straight up rude as hell, disrespectful. Hold on, let's see if we can contact Claudia. Hey Claudia, what's up? How you doing? I'm just live here on YouTube right now. Say hello to the people. They say hello, by the way. We are reviewing your show. Great show, by the way. And we're just doing a review. So I was just seeing if you wanted to stop by in the chat for a minute. Yeah, we would definitely love if you stop by, or you can catch the replay if you want to. If you don't catch this, have a great night, all that good stuff. Talk to you later. Bye. All right, we reached out to Claudia. We'll see if she stops by the chat or not. She's probably not going to be so happy when she catches the replay because y'all were terrorizing in the chat. But hey, it's good.
We would hang out and we would give a recap. And I am a sentimental person. I don't respect Al at all. As a man, as an employee, as a worker, as a host, I don't. But if there was a deal that came across my table that was like whatever, and for the people, I would do it for the people. But I would go in knowing, let me just say like that, I would go in knowing that they're not my friends, or he's definitely not my friend. And I cannot take things personally, because I tend to take things personally, because I care. And I remember the day I called them and I was like, I got us 1 day a week. And I remember calling and they were like, oh, okay. And I remember when I called them, I said, I got us 2 days a week. So I paid doubles. And I remember Funky saying, wow, that's a lifestyle change. Like that's some cute money. And then when I went to 3 days a week, and I remember 5 days a week, and I remember like every milestone feeling like these were my family, like I got some good news, you guys. I would call with James the Boast and I'd say, James, act like the show's about to get canceled, and then we'll tell him. And then it was so fun, but hey, unfortunately, it went the way it went. But I appreciate anytime someone's saying positive. So if Funky did say that about me, thank you very much about being good at it. I think I was, and I agree with you. When you're right, I'm with you when you're right, Funky. But yeah, it's unfortunate that we couldn't hold it together for our fans, because our fans really do miss that show. Yeah. But you can catch me. I've been on Call podcast lately with him and Dustin on Monday, so that's been pretty nice.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it right there. Like I said, I put the link in the description for the whole video. You guys can check it out. But yeah, those are her thoughts on TGIF and everything that went down between her Funky, Al. I think they definitely could have a conversation and work again. I noticed that she didn't mention anything about Armand. Do you think Armand and Claudia are still good, or no? Or listen, I wouldn't say that they're bad, but they probably don't talk frequently. Like, I'm surprised Claudia ain't did a show with Armand. Remember, she had she was doing a show with another guy, and then Mimi from Love and Hip Hop. Mimi Foss, she was doing a show with a guy and Mimi Foss, and they were on oh, y'all said no, nah, man. I think they're good. No. She's y'all ridiculous. Armand and Al aren't good. Oh yeah, I know that. They ended on a good note because Al had been so messy. Okay. But they probably don't talk every day. But anyway, but I'm surprised she didn't have Armand on the show, like, to kind of bring back that vibe. Maybe Armand didn't want to be a part of it, but I'm surprised like they didn't try to do their own thing if they were, cool. They left on good terms. What's up, Grandma Joy? I'm surprised that they didn't, No, they were co-workers, not friends. You guys have a point. Dustin was way better. Yeah, a lot of you guys like Dustin over Armand. I think it's a situation where it's unfortunate because I think there was so much going on behind the scenes, and the guest host that they probably had, other than Armand, probably was all like, "Oh, this some bullshit. I ain't doing this. Like, I'll come on do a guest host, but I don't want to do this permanently." So again, because I did hear that Armand wasn't the first one asked; it was other people before him. So you never know. Oh, you didn't like Dustin? Okay. Well, okay, so with Jess, so some of y'all said Claudia would have been a good fit other than Jess. Some of y'all said y'all like Jess. So if it wasn't Jess, who did you see in that role? Who would you, and it doesn't have to be a woman, who should have got that third seat? Let's do a 30-second countdown. Not Ray J. Okay, y'all got some good. Oh, Darnell Rawlings. I didn't even think about that one. Okay. Flame. I've seen Flame come up a lot. Not Joe Button. Not Button, but Button. Nene. Okay. Yeah, Princess, they changed the music on it. Claudia or Jason, Claudia. Okay, Jason Lee. I've seen a lot of y'all say Jason Lee. Kendra G. Okay, Kendra G. I can see that too as well. T.S. Madison. The Ray J. Miss Pat. Okay, Miss Pat. Okay. They need a young woman. Okay, so it would have been somebody younger. Giselle Bryant. That's the only one I'm gonna have to think on. Well, I guess the Ray J one too. Ray J and Giselle Bryant, I'm gonna think on that. Portia, okay. Jag, I'm gonna have to think on that too. Oh, Don't Call Me White Girl. Yeah, I like her. I really like her. She would have been a good fit too. Yeah. Wendy Osefo, I have to think about that. Tasha K. Okay. But would they have wanted Tasha K though? Because Tasha K outed Charlemagne for his indiscretions in legal suits and stuff like that. So I don't know if that would have worked. But Tasha K would be good for some kind of radio show. I just don't know. The Breakfast Club would have been the right one. Oh, it was listed for 300K. Oh, okay. Okay, I said 250, 300K. Okay. Oh, Love Jones. Oh, if they went with a YouTuber, okay. Bonnie Blue, okay. Andy Cole, not no damn. And that one is a no. Kiki Palmer. Okay, y'all got a lot of good choices in here. I like that. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's Jess for now and Loren. Maybe Loren will move in. I don't see Jess probably lasting after the year is done. I think January or February. Oh, wait. Hold on, y'all. Hold up. Remember, Jess didn't start right in January. Did she start in like February or March? Maybe she had a 2-year contract, or maybe her contract is almost over with, and so this is why she don't give a damn. Oh. And isn't there a clause like when you're pregnant, whatever time you miss, you have to extend that? So she's probably on that like extension from when she took maternity leave, and now she's back. So she's probably in that grace period right now, and they probably are doing contract negotiations. And remember, she was saying, "Oh, I don't really care. I don't need to be on the Breakfast Club. I wanted to be on there because of the prestige and all that stuff." But she was like, "I don't need to be there." She likes doing comedy more than she likes doing the Breakfast Club. Damn, y'all. Shit, we just solved the mystery right there. She probably already on her way out. Because if she had signed a new contract or something like that, there's no way she would be insecure, and this is the reason why she would have went off and stuff like that. Something more is happening. Something more is happening. I think contractually. I don't think it's just, oh, what's happening on camera and stuff like that. Because hey, if you're not cutting my pay and I'm still getting paid the same, and I can still do my comedy on the side and still do other obligations without having to do this 5 days a week, what's the problem? You know? What's the problem? She can still do her other obligations and, barely do any work because Loren is doing all the work, give a couple of ha-ha hee-hees, and then bounce. I want that job. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. And yes, can we get those likes up? I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I like that kind of job. Why not? I don't care that I'm putting in minimum effort. I mean, that's what Charlamagne and DJ Envy do, put in minimum effort. So yeah, if they want to add another girl, if that's not cutting your pay or anything like that, so there has to be like some kind of contract negotiation or something going on to where she's feeling insecure about something and actually think Loren is there to take her job. And I do believe Charlamagne and DJ Envy, they know more than what they're leading on. They're playing the dumb role. Yes, they were gaslighting her. I do feel like they know more than what they were leading on. And whatever they know, they at least need to give her a heads up, like, hey, it ain't looking good for you, or hey, it looked like they about to go another route. I would, go ahead and start looking for a new job, or go, start doing more shows during the week. I think they at least owe her to let her know. Because when do they respond to the stuff people say on the internet? You know what I mean? They never do that. They never respond to the stuff about them on the internet. So there's more. And when they had that uncomfortable conversation online this morning, it did seem like there was more that they wanted to say, but they probably didn't want to mention names or go that far to where they would end up in trouble. But again, that whole conversation should have never been out in the public. Yeah, that's true. They never stood up for her. Yeah. And I remember y'all were talking, like Angela said something about them. And it was she basically stated that whenever they would talk about women and stuff like that, she would get the backlash. That's what she was talking about. And then they got mad at her because they felt like she was throwing them under the bus and stuff. But she was just stating her opinion. Yeah, maybe she knows something that we don't. I agree with you. Yeah, there's definitely more to that conversation that they're just not letting up. Contracts are usually 1, 2, 3, or 5 years. Yeah. Yeah, it could be up, or I don't think it's just, oh, well, this girl is coming in and it seemed like she's replacing me. There's a reason why you feel replaced or feel like they are trying to move you out. But again, during that Wendy Williams interview, she didn't say anything. She was scrolling on her phone. So if you're not engaged and you're just literally showing up to get your check, Yeah, they're gonna move the other girl in there and replace you. I like when K. Michelle read Angela. Oh yeah. Excuse me. No way she held out for a 1-year contract. You never know. We haven't seen the contract. You never know. But there's some reason why she's feeling insecure. And even if it say like 3 years, I can see them paying her out just to shut her up, like pay her out and let her go and do her thing, and then just moving along with Loren. I can see them doing that too. You never know. Yeah, once we know, we'll know, right? All right, you guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. This was a great show. Oh, hold on, let me see if Claudia responded back. Hold on, let me see. That's if I didn't get cussed out. She probably read that damn chat and was like, I ain't coming over there. F y'all. No, she didn't see it. All right. What's up, Melanie? How you doing? All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and end the show. We'll talk later. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Actually, I am going to go live. Look for another show in 30 minutes, okay?